Howdy, Smite fans, it's J-Mac here. Week 4 of Phase 3 is now done, which means we have completed our first half of this phase leading up to the Smite World Championships. And we had a pretty nice week of firsts happening throughout this week. So let's take a look back and see what all those momentous occasions were in this week's episode of the SPL Weekly Recap. We opened up Week 4 with the Olympus Bolts against the Camelot Kings. The carries of the Kings outshined that of the Bolts as Netroid and Big Man Tings carried their team to 2 quick games against the Bolts. A quadra kill in game number 2 by BMT was the final nail in the coffin as the Kings swept the Bolts 2-0. The next up was the Atlantis Leviathans against the Jade Dragons. Game 1, the Levi's couldn't get the ball rolling as the Dragons jungler dictated the pace of the game in order to take game number 1. Second game felt like it was a hard draft for the Leviathans to perform on, but they subverted those expectations, and after a grueling 44-minute game, the Leviathans are able to tie up the set. In game number 3, the Dragons barrel-stuffed the early game, but hit a figurative wall on the objectives when the Leviathans were able to bring it back and take control to win the set 2-1. The Solar Scarabs and the Valhalla Valkyries jump-started our Saturday. A new roster from the Scarabs with Yarkor moving to Hunter and Hurrywin in for the support had a bit of a slow start this set. Game number 1 went pretty handedly over to the Valkyries, a pretty easy matchup for them to take that first one. But game number 2 started out well for the Valks yet again, but this time Yark and Sam were able to pull through during the late game team fights. They were able to seal the game and tie the set for the Scarabs. Game 3's long-winded match came down to the objective dances, and it's where the Scarabs were able to find their success. And after 3 weeks of play, the Scarabs finally find their first win of the phase with a 2-1 over the Valhalla Valkyries. And after that, we had the Oni Warriors up against the Tartarus Titans. While game 1 wasn't a huge kill game, it was a very controlling one for that of the Warriors. And you can't keep letting them get away with it, as we like to say over on the desk, as the Warriors drafted the Morgan-Hunbats combo a second game in a row, and a second game that the combo was a winning factor for the Warriors. They take the set 2-0 over the Titans. Our triple header Sunday opened up with the Olympus Bolts against the Oni Warriors. Game 1 was a one-sided beatdown for the Warriors as they quickly dispatched the Bolts. Game number 2 flipped the script, and it's the Bolts controlling the early game. A botched Fire Giant fight ends up causing the game to stall out for another 15 minutes. In the end, the Bolts were able to take the game and tie up the set. Game 3, the Bolts started off real hot. They were slowed down by the Warriors for just a while, and then when the Warriors finally found their punch back, Lasbra makes the hero play and steals the enhanced Fire Giant from under the nose of the Warriors and pulls his team back to find a win. And the Olympus Bolts find an upset over the Warriors with a 2-1 victory. Second set, we had the Solar Scarabs against the Tartarus Titans. Game 1 was the Paul's show, as his early pressure put the Scarabs behind quickly, and the Titans are able to take game 1. Game number 2, the attention pivoted to Solar Troll as he ran literal circles around the competition with his tier to put up a clean and decisive 2-0 for the Tartarus Titans. Then to close out our weekend was the Valhalla Valkyries up against the Atlantis Leviathans. Game 1 started out well for the Valks, but the Levi's were never too far behind. The late game counter matches and team fights net the first game for the Levi's. Game 2 remained close, but the team fights of the Valks denied the Leviathans an opportunity to fight back. And in game number 3, Panatom and Haddix really led the charge, keeping up the early pressure and closing out undying for the two of them, for the Leviathans to take the set 2-1. And there you have it. With our first half of the phase now rounded out, we can take a nice look at how the standings have really shooken up over the course of this week. The Atlantis Leviathans are the definitive number 1 team, but hot on their heels are 3 more sitting at 5-2 in their record. With us now moving into the second half of the phase and the second round robin starting up, it's anyone's competition. Will we see some big upsets in the second half of the phase? Or will it continue down the same trend that it seems to have been going so far? We'll have to find all that out as we get ready to jump into our final week. So make sure that you catch up on all the action from week 4 over on our YouTube channel SMITEPod, watch our behind the scenes content over on SMITEPro, and catch week 5 live right now over on Smite Game as we jump right into the action.